Hi guys, it's Chris with Harris Arms again, and just wanted to give you kind of a quick update on the pistol brace ruling from the ATF. I want to give you a little more background on the NFA, a little more than I did before, and then give you a couple of options on what you can do going forward. I know a lot of you folks out there probably have these pistol braced ARs that you've never done a silencer or had anything to do with an NFA item and probably don't know how to go forward with this whole thing. Let me just give you a few little, a couple of options at least in that realm. First, the history of the NFA. Right, the NFA is the big deal. The NFA is the reason why the pistol brace is even a thing. And that's because short-barreled rifles and shotguns, that would be a rifle with a barrel less than 16 inches and a shotgun with a barrel less than 18 inches, they are on what is called the NFA, or the National Firearms Act. And thereby they are restricted firearms that require extensive background checks and a tax stamp to be paid. So $200 you have to pay the government, and you have to register your firearm. When did that come about? It was back in the mid-1930s, 1934, I think. And leading up to that, the reason for it was that there was a perceived criminal element problem with concealed firearms. In specific, what was the real perceived problem were handguns. That's right. The NFA sought initially to restrict the sale and ownership of handguns. Right? The most concealable firearm that we have in this country right now. Everybody knows that a handgun has a short barrel. It has a barrel that can be as short as like an inch, I think. I mean, I know plenty have 3-inch barrels. One of your most popular EDC guns, SIG P365, has a 3-inch barrel. So yeah, the NFA sought to restrict handguns. And with the NFA, as they sought to regulate handguns, right, to put an exorbitant tax on a gun that probably costs 30 bucks, put a tax on there of $200. As they sought to do that, they had this idea that, okay, we're going to restrict these handguns with small barrels so that because they're so easily concealed, people might get the idea to take a rifle or a shotgun and cut it down to make it smaller, and thereby making it a little more concealable, right? And if they do that, then they can say, well, no, this isn't a pistol, right? This isn't a handgun, this is a rifle or a shotgun. And they thought that would be bad, right? Because handguns were the thought that of what needed to be restricted. And they don't want people to take this loophole, if you will, to that restriction and cut rifles and shotguns down. So rifles and shotguns with barrels less than 18 inches were restricted the same way as handguns were going to be. The whole thing was built on the premise that the concealable gun was the problem, the handgun being the worst because it was the smallest one, the easiest to conceal. But when they figured out that they couldn't get handguns restricted because there's just too many of them, when they finally figured that out, instead of doing away with their loophole, right, the short-barreled rifles and shotguns, they just decided to leave them in the NFA and restrict them. Right? There's no reason. There's no good reason for a short-barreled rifle or a short-barrel shotgun to be in the NFA. I think the Attorney General came out the other day and said that short-barreled rifles were in the NFA because they were deemed as these dangerous weapons, and at the beginning of the NFA, that's just a flat-out lie. Okay, whether he knowingly lied, which is probably the case, or whether it was just a lie from pure ignorance of the history of the NFA and short-barreled rifles, it doesn't matter. It is just absolutely a lie. Right? They were never deemed as being dangerous. What was deemed as being dangerous, they said, right, were handguns, not short-barreled rifles and shotguns. Right? So the NFA is just stupid, been stupid from the beginning, and that's what needs to be repealed, what needs to be done away with. And possibly all of this fuss that's going to come up over this pistol brace ruling, maybe we can get that done. That's what I have hopes for, that Congress will see that it's just stupid to have short-barreled rifles and shotguns in the NFA to begin with, and they'll do away with it. Hopefully that's what happens, right? Pray with me on that. Hopefully you're on that same boat there. But where are we today? We've got the pistol brace. The short-barrel rifles and shotguns are in the NFA. The ATF, with this ruling, has decided that all of your AR pistols out there with braces on them are short-barreled rifles, right? Regardless of whether they try to tell you that maybe, if you can meet X criteria. No, you can't meet the criteria. Every short-barreled AR system out there is going to be considered a short-barreled rifle to the ATF. Just hands down, it's going to be. If it's a traditional AR-15, right? If it has a buffer system, if it's a direct impingement gas system rather than just an impingement system with a longer short stroke piston, right? If it just has a buffer tube that you can put on your shoulder, then it's a short-barreled rifle. So, what do we do now? Like I said, I think a lot of you out there probably have some of these pistols. A lot of people bought them, or some of these shorter-barreled rifle cartridges, cartridge firearms, however you want to say it. Right? There are a bunch of them out there, and a lot of you probably have never dealt with registering an NFA item. What can you do? First of all, there are a few things that they offer, a few options. Right? You can have a longer barrel put on it. So you can have a 16-inch barrel put onto a rifle, or you could have an 18-inch barrel put onto a shotgun, thereby making it legal. Or you can destroy the firearm, right? Or they say you can turn it into the ATF. Don't ever do that, right? Don't ever do that. Either register it, put a barrel on it that is longer, or destroy it. I mean, I'd rather you destroy it than give it to the ATF. Don't do that. I think the best option probably is, if you ever had the desire of having a short-barreled rifle, would be to register it now. They are, in the ruling, they are offering a 120-day amnesty period as far as the tax is concerned. So instead of having to pay $200 to register the NFA item, you get that fee waived, so no need to pay the $200. So if you ever had the idea of having one, I think now is the time to do it. So how do you go about that? A couple of ways you could go about doing that. You do it as a regular person. What I mean by that, as a regular person, is someone who is not a licensed gun dealer. You don't have to have a licensed gun dealer to do it. It doesn't take an FFL. You can do it on your own, and a couple of ways you can go about doing that. So you can do it through strict paperwork that you fill out. You can get that off of the ATF's website. Fill out the packet for that. You can get fingerprint cards sent to you by the NFA, the ATF themselves for free, and have your fingerprints done. Send in your application with all the information required, and then wait for them to approve the Form 1. You can do that. Form 1s are normally pretty quick, a lot quicker than Form 4s. Form 1s are transfers where you have manufactured or you have built your own short-barreled rifle, short-barrel shotgun, silencer, something like that, and you are saying, hey, ATF, well, you want to build one, right? You're saying, look, government, I want to do this, give me the approval. Then when you're approved, then you build your NFA item, right? You paid your tax and all this other stuff. But anyway, you can do it that way. Just send in the paperwork, and those usually are approved within 30 days. I don't know what's going to happen now if there's this huge influx of applications, though. It could really get backed up. One way to do it: mail in the paperwork, do the fingerprints. You can even do the fingerprints yourself. There's some tutorials on how to do that. You can check it out. The way that I would recommend having it done, if you're going to register it, and before I mention this last way, let me tell you this: there are drawbacks to having a short barrel rifle or shotgun or an item that is in the NFA. One of the major drawbacks will be that you can't just take that firearm, that NFA item, across state lines. So if you want to take it, if you have plans to go on a trip somewhere or do something, you have to notify the ATF ahead of time, and there's a form for that on the at the ATF's website that you can fill out and send that in. So that's a bad, terrible thing. There are downsides to it. I said the biggest one's taken across state lines. The worst downside to it is that you've registered a firearm with the government. goes directly against the Second Amendment, but I mean, that's just where we are. All right, so you can either fill out the paperwork and send it in yourself, or you can have it done electronically with Silencer Shop. Silencer Shop, right? You can go to Silencer Shop's website, start an account with them. You can find a local dealer to you that has a Silencer Shop kiosk. Put your information into the kiosk, have your fingerprints done there electronically. Once all of the information is in the kiosk, you can go back to your account on Silencer Shop's website. Oh, and there's one other account you need. That is at the ATF eForms site. You have to have an account with ATF eForms. They're free, fairly easy to do. But anyway, once you have the eForms account, once your information and fingerprints are in the Silencer Shop kiosk, you can go back to Silencer Shop's website and you can apply for a Form 1, right? An eForm 1. Whereas Silencer Shop will do all the paperwork for you electronically. Your information from the kiosk will be uploaded electronically, and then you wait on the approval. You will have to pay them a small fee, and you may have to pay a small fee to have your information input into the system. But the good news on that is if you have ever used Silencer Shop to buy a suppressor or any other NFA item like that, your information is probably already in there. You may have to update your photo, which is really simple. They make it simple. You can do it through, you can take your own photo and upload it. As long as it's up to date, your photo has to have been taken within a year's time frame. So simple to do there. Silencer Shop offers this. It's a beta program right now, and they will it's live at the moment. But let me let you in a little secret. Today is Wednesday, the 18th. Wednesday the 18th of January. So the pistol brace ruling came out this past Friday. Silencer Shop's software, in order to tie into the ATF eForms and access the tax stamp waived Form 1, is not up and running yet. So if you go and you try to do this now, you're going to have to pay $200. Don't do that, right? Wait till next week. Their software, I've talked to Silencer Shop, their software should be up and running next week to be able to file these Form 1s under the amnesty, the tax amnesty that's been offered by the ATF. So if you're going to register an SBR, you want to do it electronically and do it through Silencer Shop, wait to do that next week. But that is the option that I recommend. But you do what's up, what you're going to do in the end. Don't let me tell you what you should do. I'm just giving you some advice. You're all out there grown. You can make your own decisions in that respect. But I would say that if you are thinking about not registering and not changing the barrel and not turning your firearm over to the ATF, but don't do that anyway. I don't even care about that one. Or not destroying it, right? Just simply not complying and keeping everything the way you have it. I think you're making a bad move. And I think you're making a bad move not because you're actually in the wrong per se, because morally you're right according to what the Constitution says and the Second Amendment, that we have the right to bear arms and that shall not be infringed upon. You're in the right morally, right? But you stand the chance of causing yourself a lot of pain and heartache, and your family and friends pain and heartache if the ATF decides to make an example of you. So just keep that in mind. Now, on another note, though, if we think about it, if there are 40 million of the braces out there, and you say half of the folks, say 20 million people, put down their foot and say they're not gonna comply, what are they gonna do to 20 million people? I don't know. Even 10 million or 5 million. Don't take that as me condoning noncompliance, because I really can't do that in good conscience as a pastor. Right? There's some biblical principles that bind me to certain laws if they don't go against what the Bible tells me. And the Bible doesn't tell me a whole lot about firearms, right? The Constitution does. I do believe that the country is that the government is absolutely wrong. They were wrong with the NFA to begin with. It was absolutely stupid to leave short barrel rifles and shotguns on there, and they shouldn't be there, and the NFA needs to be repealed, right? But as of right now, the NFA does exist, right? So if I'm going to give you advice to go one way or the other, it's going to be to register your short barrel rifle or short barrel shotguns, what a law-abiding citizen should do, even though it's so painful to say that about registering firearms with the government. That should be an oxymoron, right? Those two things shouldn't go together when you live in the United States under the Constitution. So let's fight to repeal this stupid NFA law, right? And put our focus there, right? Forget about this brace thing, but for the time being, right? If you want to have an SBR, now's the time to do it. They put no limits on how many you can register without having to pay the tax stamp. So hey, you could get it registered now, and then if they do kick the NFA out later, then you're not out anything except a little time and a couple of dollars for silencer shop to fill out the paperwork, or either fill out the paperwork there, or you're out your time for doing the paperwork. So anyway, that's the way I would have you to go. And thank you for sticking around this long. And if you have any, if you're still here and you haven't done it before, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, right? Share the video. I have a really small channel. It's the only way my stuff's going to get out there. I got to beat the YouTube algorithm in some way, somehow, right? And if you appreciate the content, definitely do that. I appreciate those who have watched, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.